So welcome everybody. Welcome to day 8. And day 8 brings us, my friends, bookmarks, but we're making chain bookmarks today. And I have 2 cool kits for you on these bookmarks. Now, what I'm doing with both of these, I've made both of these a ruler length, so they're both 12 inches. You can adjust accordingly, friends, and you're going to get plenty of chain cut however much you want. You get a ridiculous amount of chain. So just do whatever you want and have fun with it. But I'm going to show you how I'm going to put this one together. So I've already went ahead and cut my chain for the main portion of my bookmark, okay? And I've also already cut and done regular simple loops on all of my dangles, okay? So all you would do, guys, is just feed on a bead on your hot palm, and then you're gonna kind of use your finger as a guide. That's what I do. It's the easiest way to do it, guys. And just, we're gonna make a simple loop. So I'm just gonna cut right there by putting the bead on the side of my finger and putting my cutters at the top of the other side and using that kind of as my guide for my width. And then I'm gonna cut that. And they are stainless steel, so they are nice and sturdy. And then I'll grab my round nose pliers. If I can get a hold of them. Where did you go? Where did you go, Mr. Round Nose? Sorry, guys, I just seem to have misplaced them. Okay, found a pair. Not the ones I want, but that's okay. And then just grab your round nose, guys. Go and put your round nose right at the top of that wire, and we're just gonna roll that in. Okay, and then if we need to straighten it out, put your chain nose on the inside of your loop right there, and then just kind of push your wire back, and then continue to roll that forward. And if we need to put our chain nose there to close it up a little, we can certainly do that. And we just have a simple loop. That's all that is. Okay, so I've done that on all of my dangles, as I just said already. Okay, and so let's go ahead and construct the design the way that I have in mind, which is super cute. And then I'll show you when we're done with this, guys. So if you want to bail out, you're done with the bookmark, and you want to see how to do that spiral, I'll save that for the end. So I've already cut my chain, and again, I've cut my chain 10 inches, so this will be about a ruler length, 12 inches, but cut it however, long you want. And then I'll grab the jump ring that's included, and I've got that open already, and it's an oval jump ring. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and just feed that on one side of my chain, and then feed my connector right on that jump ring, and then we'll close that up. And this is gonna keep just fine, guys. This is gonna stay just fine. The ovals are fine. They're great. They close well, and it will stay together just fine. And so now this is what I have. Just have my connector right there, my oval jump ring. And now what I decided to do was I decided to take one of my rose quartz in the 8mm, the check glass flower beads, and put that on one, and then a bicone on 2. And so I, again, already made my simple loops. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this rose quartz in the center loop here on this little flower connector and just close my loop. And again, just, go ahead and squeeze them, and, they are stainless steel. They're pretty stiff and good to work with, and close your loop. So I put that one there, and then I'm going to take my other 2 bicones, which are already ready to go, and I am going to put them. Do you notice how this connector, guys, has like tons of opportunities for dangles? So you could really do whatever you want. You could put dangles anywhere or everywhere. And what I opted to do was use the 2 sides right here. So I'm just going to do just that. So I'm just gonna feed this bicone right there on that side, and we'll just close that loop. Show you what I've got there. So that is what that looks like, which again can be the top or the bottom. I kind of feel like it's the top, but that's what that looks like. So cute. You could have put those over here if you wanted. You know, you can put them wherever. Okay, so that is the top. The top's all done. Now what we're gonna do, guys, is also did I not say that it was included in your kit, the 20 gauge craft wire? So we've already I've cut my 1.5 inch pieces of chain, and again, I've equally just decided what beads I wanted to feed on the bottom, and that's what I've done. And you do get 20 gauge craft wire in this kit, and so you get a ruler length, which is way more than you need. I'm gonna cut off 6 inches, guys, is I'm actually going to use my bail making plier here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a very, very small loop to feed my chain on the bottom. I don't need that much of a loop. And I also think I'm only gonna do like 1.5 wraps. So made a simple loop, popped my loop open. And I'll pull you down to the mat. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just feed on the last link of the chain of my little dangles right down that small piece of wire, and it'll go ahead and each of them will drop in that loop. Okay, so that's what you have. All your chains in your loop. And so now what I'm going to do is I am going to wire wrap this closed. But again, I really don't need that big of a loop. So I'm kind of gonna pull that wire over just a little bit and make as small of a loop as I can. Because I don't want that big of a loop. So you see how small I've made my loop there? And I'm just gonna kind of try to grab a hold of that, and I'm just gonna wrap this around like 1.5. That's all we need to keep that secure on the bottom there, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and then clip that off. And we can tuck that in. Okay, and so that's what we have, okay? And I'm gonna put on the check flower, and then the drook, and then the check flower. I kind of like this a little bit better. I think it looks fun. So that's what that looks like. And I think that looks really super cute. Okay. And now all we're gonna do is a small wire wrap loop to connect our top chain. So in order to do that, I am going to put my chain nose right snug on top of that flower bead right there, very much on top of it. So you don't want any gap, you don't want any slack is the word I'm looking for. So that's nice and tight, and we'll do a right bend, okay? And now I'll go in again with my bail making or my round nose. I'm just gonna use my 2mm, the smallest on my bail making, and I'm gonna put that right there in that bend, pull this wire up and around to hug the front of the plier, move my tool away, move that wire to the back, okay, and pop that open. So that's what you have. And now I will grab the other side of my chain here, and we're gonna feed that right on down and let that go ahead and fall right in that loop, okay? And then we will once again, let's grab our chain nose, and we can go ahead now and fill that gap with a few wire wraps. I guess I'll do a few there. Little messy wraps. That's how that wound up. That's fine, doesn't matter. however you want to do it. We will trim the excess, and again, I cut 6 inches of wire and I still have that much left. And you get 12 inches in your kit, guys, so you have plenty of wire. And we'll just tuck that in, and I'll pop you up, and that's what we have. And so that's our rose quartz bookmark. It's so pretty, you guys. I'll pull you back down so you can see. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that beautiful? Just beautiful. Just a darling, darling bookmark. Beautiful colors. So super cute. You can have a lot of fun. Really design that and make it your own. Now that we are done with our bookmarks, let me put him over here to the side. Let me grab another piece of wire, and I'm gonna grab, actually, you know what? I'll just use the scrap so I can just show you how to make a spiral over here on the blue iris if you decide that's what you want to do. So you're gonna want to make sure that your wire is straight. That's step 1. And step 2, making these little spiral bottoms, is do make sure that the end that you're going to start with is flush cut, okay? And then what you're going to do, guys, is we are going to just go in. We can go with any of our round nose. These are really, really small tip round nose. Let me pull you down so you can really see. These are really small. We can use our bail making if we want, okay? And I'm going to go to the very tip of my chain nose and the tip of the wire, and I'm going to just roll it in one rotation until it meets the wire. Just like that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is grab a pair of chain nose, and then I'm going to hold this loop over my chain nose. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just start to guide the wire with my left hand here, feeding the wire around in a circular motion. You see how I'm doing that? And you're just going to go around very slowly. Don't rush it. And you'll wind up with a little spiral. And you can do as many as you want. You can do, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do as many spirals as you want. It's just a total design preference. Over here on this one, I did 3 spirals. Okay, so I'm just gonna go around a few times here. I'm just guiding my wire as I'm holding the spiral with my chain nose, and I'm letting this hand do most of the work by pushing the wire in. Okay. And so that's what I have, okay? Now what I need to do when I'm done is I would need to make a bend to make the wire go straight up. So in order to do that, I would grab some bent nose or the thin part of your chain nose, and you're just gonna go right on top of that spiral with your bent nose, just like this. Okay, hold your spiral and simply bend your wire up. And that is all you got to do. And then you would go ahead and feed your beads on, just like I did right there. Right, I just fed on my beads and I made a wire wrap loop at the top. And so that is how you make a spiral. So that is our show for today, my friends. So there is our rose quartz kit. Here is our blue iris kit. We've got gemstones. We've got fire polish. What else do we need, guys? We don't need anything else. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to day 8. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. I will link the kits in the video, and we will see you tomorrow for day 9. Until then, my friends, be blessed.